Guru team, welcome back. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 24 with me, your host, Long John Silver. I trust you're enjoying my series. If you are, why not hit that like? Why not subscribe? Click the bell notification so you know when the next one of these is coming out. And if you feel like it, you can always become a channel member. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to those of you who are already channel members. And do click those like and do hit that subscribe. So, what are we here for? We are in the Cirrus Vision Jet looking at the G3000, looking at an RNAV approach. So, some of this may not be exactly new for you if you have already watched one of my series on G1000 RNAV approach. But I am going to cover some of the things that I discussed in that for those of you that's maybe the first time looking at an RNAV approach and what that is. And also using the G3000, which is not massively dissimilar to the G1000. And again, I've covered the similarities and differences in an earlier video, which I will link below, including, for example, that this version is not exactly the same as the version in the other G3000 planes, which is the King Air and the other one. Why can't I remember its name? It's the Daher TBM. Oh man, it hurts to be me sometimes. It's the Daher TBM. Anyway, what is an RNAV approach? Might be the first question that you want to ask. Well, an RNAV approach is an approach that uses the GPS. So it's using the GPS system, and it's calculating your approach lateral and vertical based on the GPS. And because the GPS is not 100% accurate, it isn't considered a precision approach in the real world. But in the game, for missions, it will be suitable for everything that you need to get you squared away for a reasonable landing, in that it will make sure that you have certainly got the right kind of glide slope going on, or glide path going on, and you just really need to manage the speed and the flaps and the landing gear and all of the other various bits and pieces that you need to manage to make sure that you get on the tarmac, which is perfectly fine. If you're going to be doing this on a mission with a G3000 craft, there's a couple of things you need to check first. The first is in your electronic flight bag, and I did cover this a little bit, but when you go through your electronic flight bag for wherever you are going, you need to make sure that you have the RNAV approach procedure lined up. And not all missions and not all airports will give you this option, sorry to say. But if you can find this in here, so what you'll find is if you go into the approach procedures and you pick whichever is the correct runway, you will get the option, depending on what's here. It might have direct, it might have an RNAV, it might have an ILS, it might have a VOR, it will definitely have a VFR, so it will have all these various bits and pieces for you to choose from, and that's great. If you want to have a look at what that potentially looks like, where are we here on this map? I think we are some distance away still, are we? These maps are a little bit clunky. Show me where my airplane is. There we are. We're out there. So we've got to come down here, do a leg, come in, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do a crazy turn here, and then we are going to fly direct into the runway, which is fine. So that's okay. So we're ready to do that. So once you have confirmed that you have an RNAV approach and you're happy with all of the other various bits and pieces, you need to make sure that you send it to ATC and avionics. Otherwise, they will not potentially check that, and you could get yourself into some difficulties, which is a bit of a nuisance. If you then make sure that you select the arrival runway, which is LSGC, by clicking on this, and you go into the general runway tabs, you have the general runway tab, you have the weather, you have the runway, so that lets you know which runway. We're coming in on runway 23 because that's one that makes the most amount of sense. There should be charts. If there are charts, we don't have a chart. So that's a bit of an annoyance, that we don't actually have an approach chart. So we can't set things like minimums, sadly. We can guesstimate at the minimums, but we can't do that. And here you have the thing here which tells you that this is the transitions that are available. You can do the RNAV23 transition at Bal-Ir or Palu. We're not doing either of those, and I've covered how to do transitions and stuff in my other videos. We're just doing a direct one, which is going to require maybe a little bit of hand flying to make sure we don't miss the approach too badly, because it is a sharp turn. If you want to do one of the other ones, it usually takes you out. This is the kind of thing that works for the larger passenger jets. Takes you out, does a teardrop, or takes you into holding pattern loop, etc. All the rest of it, I have to discuss that previously. So we have all this, we have all that, we have all of the other that we need to have, and we are now flying along. So you can see here that up here in multifunction display, I have, this is weather over here, and this is the map, and I've gone over my earlier video, which is linked below, how to set those up if you want to set those up. And this is where we are heading off to in that direction. Over here I have my inset map, my PFD and everything else, and my flight annunciator. So my flight annunciator is telling us that we're traveling via GPS on the autopilot with the yaw damper working at a fixed altitude of 7,000 feet, which is exactly what we need to be flying at. We're at 64% thrust over here, which is pretty good. You can see the 64% thrust over here as well. We're flying between the waypoints of Rebda and Duluth. We've got 33.1 nautical miles to go with an estimated time elapse of 8 minutes and 5 to get there, and we have the UTC time over here, and everything else is slowed down. So what do we want to do? We want to have a look at our flight plan, and we want to set our approach. We want to make sure our approach is ready to go. So down here on the multifunction display, if you open the multifunction display, you will normally get this, and this will give you a list of all the various bits and pieces, and I went over what these all mean in my G3000 introductory video. We obviously want to go first to our flight plan. We want to check our flight plan, and our flight plan is here, and we're going from Repta to Duluth. Here we go. We haven't set any of the speeds or anything like that, so that's perfectly fine. That is the end of the route, and then this takes us into the transition. And if we have a look down here, we have this transition here. So we are arriving at 7,000 feet or above. That's what the line means there. So we must be above 7,000 feet at GC751, which is our FAF or final approach fix. So we're giving ourselves a chance because we're going to try and capture GC750 first, and that should give us a chance to line up. So that is what we will be doing. That is what we will be doing in terms of our approach procedure. So we need to be at 7,000 at our final approach fix to catch our vertical path. We're at 7,000, so that's great. So we don't need to worry about that too much. Given that that is what it is, and we don't need to change it. So if you wanted to change it, you could come here and you could change it. We don't want to change it, so we're just going to leave that alone. We're just going to go back and back. We're just going to leave that where it is because that's what it says. You can double check over here and check and see, yes, the altitude on the EFB says 7,000. The runway is quite high, so the runway is 3,548. So that is where we're going to be hitting the runway. So that's why it's so high, which is perfectly fine. And we can then say, well, that's fine. We can actually hit the vertical nav here. So the vertical nav here will then see it comes up with a V alt, and it's green, so it's activated. So we're activated on the vertical nav. So that will mean that the plane will definitely decide what and when we get to GC751, what the glide slope or glide path will be like getting to the runway. So that's fine. If that didn't fire up, that would be a problem, and the VNAV wouldn't be set. You can check that by going in here and having a look and saying, well, hang on a minute, what's going on in here? And you can see here that we've got a descent. That this is populated means that the autopilot is picking up all the necessary details of the descent schedule from the flight plan. Sorry, that was me trying to answer the radio. If we could answer the radio, thank you.
127.6 from Mike uniform.
Right, sorry. Oosh. Come back down here again. Right, we're not going to mess with that. That was me. So yeah, so this is here, so that's fine. If this was empty, there'd be a problem. In which case, I'd say go back to your electronic flight bag and make sure that you have sent it through to the avionics, which is fine. So that's all fine. That's all fine. Everything's fine. The stuff after that is the missed approach. So this would be taking you out to hold at Palu, and it would be between 7,000 and 11,000 feet, etc. What we want is the procedures, though. So we have procedures here. So again, the procedures are set up. So we have an approach procedure, which is RNAV GPS 05 LPV. Wait a minute, 05 LPV? I thought we're coming into runway 23. So we would want to make sure that that is runway 23, for example. So Balir and Palu, like I said, would be the two others, or direct, which is vectors. So we're going vectors. So you have approach options preview off, or you can show them on the map, which is fine. May as well show them on the map if you want. You have load and activate, or just load. In this case, we're just going to load it for now. So right, so now we've got a different set of approaches. So we're not going to where we were going. We're going to Decam, and we're going to Bomek, and then we're going to runway 23. That makes a bit more sense. So just be aware of that. So even though I changed all of this to runway 5, and even though I sent it all through, it doesn't always transition through into the gear. Oh wait, runway 5. Wait a minute. I thought we were at runway 23. Maybe I'm wrong. Runway, oh no, runway 23. There you go. My mistake. So there you go. Well, now you know how to change it. So we actually don't want to go there. We want to go to edit approach, and we want to go to runway 5. So we are coming in at runway 5. We are coming in at vectors. We can load it back up again. Right, so there you go, loaded back up. So there you are. So we're loaded back up, runway 5. So now you know how to change it if you need to change it. And that's all the rest of it. Anything else below there? No, not in particular. So, I mean, essentially that's it. We're all loaded up and everything's fine. We've got the active flight plan. All we need to do now is get to Dulug and follow along with the GPS. Once we get a little bit closer, I'll bring you back in. I'm going to have a look at the various changes that you need to make. The approach is loaded. We then need to activate the approach, and once the approach has been activated, then we can activate approach mode when we are close on the line for the runway. I find that the simplest myself. You might disagree, but I find that the simplest. Okay, we don't have to do anything much else on this one in terms of changing how we're getting in on approach. We don't have to do staged altitudes, for example, like we might have to set this to drop this down. It's going to pick it all up automatically. The only thing that you might want to know, and this is sort of a little bit weird in the game, is with the barometric pressure. So it says the barometric pressure is 1025 hectopascals. So if we want to set this ideally correctly, we're at 1013, which was where we were when we were taking off. So if we go here and set it to 1025, you'll see that the altitude changes. You can see now path has come up. That is letting us know that the autopilot has recognized that we're now too high and we're going to need to descend a little bit, and that's why we're getting the various sounds and various bits and pieces and so on and so forth, such like and thing. So there you go. So we're all set up. We've got our barrow set, got everything else set, we've got our procedures lined up. So I will just carry on where I am until we get to the transition, and then I will bring you back in. I'll see you real soon. Right, welcome back. So we are coming in on the LSGC beacon, which is here, and we are getting ready to come into our approach. Now, some of the other things maybe to bear in mind with ATC and these mission communications in the top corner is they don't necessarily always reflect A, what you're doing, or B, what's even in the electronic flight bag. So I just generally ignore them. It's the short answer. I generally ignore them. So anyway, so we're here, we're about to turn in. So what we're going to do now is we are going to come over here to procedures. The touch screens can be a bit of a pain. Sometimes you need to mess around with the mouse. So we've got our approach, is we've got activate vectors to final. So what we want to do is we want to activate vectors to final. Now you see now that has picked up on a different kind of a line, which is down there, which is where we are turning to, which is great. So we will just let that do what it needs to do. It wants us to extend gears. I feel honestly like we're a little bit far out to be extending gears. This is done what is done to me before in terms of activating approach to final. It now wants to turn me around completely the other way. This happens quite a bit. I'm not exactly sure why it happens quite a bit, but if you want to fix that, what you can do is you can come down here, and when you've got this selected, just go direct to and activate direct to, and that will, if we come back up here, sort that out. It has a habit of doing that for some reason. I'm not totally exactly sure why it does that, to be honest. So hopefully if I speed it up, we won't miss too much, and it'll turn around and it'll take us back in on the line, and it's going to do a little bit of a swoo around to get us online. And then as soon as we come up online, you can see we've got a V ready. So we're coming up on a V descent profile. I've dropped the speed down, so this, especially in the Cirrus Vision Jet, it tends to be quite a fast moving little plane. So I've found that it could be a little bit of a problem in terms of that. So I'm just letting this bring itself around a little bit. We're just about to catch. So I'm going to turn the approach on. Now you see when the approach comes on that we have GP for glide path. So glide path in this instance for an RNAV, it's glide slope for an ILS. I always get them mixed up until they pop up. I can never remember which one is which. Now the other thing you need to know with this is to ensure that you're going to pick up this glide path, you need to have this G and this, it's actually a diamond. It looks like a triangle, but when it descends, it'll be a diamond. That needs to be above you. So we're currently flying below the glide path. As we get closer, this will drop and we will intersect it. And when we do intersect it, that is fantastic, because that means that the RNAV will pull us into the required descent. You can also confirm that here, because you can see we have a top of descent right here, which is great. So that lets us know there's going to be a top of descent, which is awesome. It looks like, unless I'm very much mistaken, our runway is actually out there somewhere. Don't immediately see it. Oh, it's behind us. So the runway is behind us. So what we're going to do is we are going to go out here, you can see, and we're going to loop around here and come back in, and that will bring us directly in on the runway for the correct wind direction, because you can see that the wind direction here is coming from in front of us. Why aren't we landing the right way around? There's so many things about this from time to time confuses the pants off me.
Vertical track.
Thank you. Vertical track means we're now in a vertical track, which is great. You can see that you've got a V here. So we have this bug here and this V here, which means we're going to loop around. So it looks like we're going to be looping around and descending and coming back in. So I'm going to let it do that, and I'll bring you back in when we are on final. Shall I? Right, so we're coming out of the pattern, and we're coming in on approach. Now you can see that what we have here is we have the bug in place here. We've got the G, we've got the GP, we've got the V. So we're on a vertical descent, glide path. We're on the GPS. Everything's going according to how it should be going. We're going a little bit quick, so we're gonna because we're now descending. So we're gonna have to cut the speed down somewhat, and then we'll have to remember to engage the gears and engage flaps. So let's get down to about 150, which is where we want to go. Get the sim rate correct. So we've got the sim rate correct. We are 5 nautical miles out, so we've got time to drop the speed. We're on glide path, so I don't need to steer anything. I just need to manage the throttle. So we'll drop the throttle down quite a lot. Quite a lot. Quite a lot. Right. Going to extend the gears. That'll help slow us down a little bit. We need to deploy flaps, which you can see here down at the bottom. We've got landing gear down, flaps down. We're descending. We're dropping speed. We're on glide path, which is fine, so that's not a problem. I think we're reasonably lined up. I've had this with the Cirrus Vision Jet before. We're not always perfectly lined up on the runway. So here we go. Let's have a look at this. We'll have a look at this over here. If I can, I can. I'll need to, what I need to do is I'll get out of that and I'll go here and I'll go to free cam. So look at this bend. So, ooh, it wants me to do a quick shufty bend to get into the runway. So you'll see sometimes, and this seems to be a thing with the Vision Jet, so just be aware there's going to be a bend at the end, he said, right? So just be aware on that. So we've got to watch out for that. We'll put the simulation back up at the correct rate. Right? And we're going to hit second flaps because we need to slow down quite a lot. So we're going to try and slow down as much as we can. We've got our X is 90, and it looks like our target landing speed is about 80. So we can let the autopilot do as much as possible, and we're just going to need to make sure we don't drop the speed too much. So we don't want to go below 80 ideally. Manage that. So we'll let the autopilot do the little jinky bit at the end. Just managing the change in the throttle. It's not too bad. It's bringing us in okay. That's fine. Should do the little turn. There it goes. Not quite. I'm going to take over because it seems to be the autopilot's going to miss it. But that's okay. And then we have to find the runway ourselves. And the problem with this plane, as I've said before, is it really doesn't want to land no matter what you do. So, and it's a short runway, so we'll hit the brakes. It does have pretty good brakes, so that's a plus. Right, so there you go. Little bumpy. That's an RNAV approach, and that's how you do an RNAV approach in the G3000 in the Cirrus Vision Jet. So I will just get myself off the runway, thank you very much, and I will just come to a little stop. You want me in the box?
118.125.
We're in the box. Okay, so that's that. And we'll take some right down. So there you go. There's, I mean, it's not bad. Look, the RNAV is fine. There's always little bits and pieces that come up from time to time, and little things you have to fiddle around with. It's not exactly perfect, but as long as you remember all of those things and doing them in the right order, then when things do change, you'll have a little bit more confidence and be able to adapt to the changes. So there you go, G3000 on the RNAV approach. I'll see what I can rustle up for an ILS approach next. That will be the next thing that I am looking at in the G3000 will be the ILS approach, which is allegedly a little bit more precision. Not an approach that I prefer. I find it a little bit more fiddly, as I've said before. But there you go. Pardon me. I hope you found this useful if you're flying the Vision Jet and you're wondering how to program the various bits and pieces, or where to even find them, or how to add them in, or what to do if things change in terms of using the direct to function and so on and such like. Thank you for joining me. If you have found this useful, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Please click the bell notification so you know when the next one is coming out. Please feel free to comment below, ask any questions, provide any tips, tricks, or hints of your own. If you want me to look at anything else in particular with the G3000, also do let me know. And I will see you all again for another one real soon, shall I? Ta-ta for now.